Story time while we get ready for date night. Okay, so this isn't my story. It's one that one of you guys sent to me, and it's pretty fucking crazy. Okay, so the girl who sent this to me, this didn't happen to her. This happened to her cousin. Okay, so this guy, her cousin, was on vacation with his friend, and they were out and about, hitting the towns, hitting the clubs. So right off the bat, these guys were too young to be going to the club, so they were just not where they were supposed to be already. So they're at the club, and they meet these ladies, and then he's like, ooh, ooh, and she's like, ooh, ooh. So him, his friend, this girl and her friend, the four of them, they go home together. Reminder, these guys are like 17 years old, okay? So the four of them go back to this girl's house, and they hang out, have a little more beverages, and one thing leads to another, and they end up reading the Bible at the end of the night. Not like all four of them together, but like this guy and one girl, and then the cousin and the other girl, so it was it was two men. So they read the Bible, and then the next morning the boys go home. So they could go home, like leave vacation, woo, good time, like little fling, like, oh, like never see her again, love you, Pookie, long distance, Pookie. So they get back vacation and go back to school because they're young. Like, these guys are literally, like, young. And so one day, the guy, the cousin of the girl who sent this to me, he gets a phone call from a number he doesn't recognize. So he picks it up, and it's, like, Shorty Bae from vacation, wherever vacation was. And she's like, hey, Pookie, like, I know you live, like, really far away, but, like, I'm pregnant. And I'm keeping it. And he's like, oh, okay, slay. So, I don't know, I guess they were actually, like each other because once he turned 18, because he was not 18 yet, they got married. Side note, mango, this flavor of bloom, is, like, the best flavor of pear, in my opinion. So they get married, and they have the baby. She has the baby. And this baby pops out, not looking like the daddy. Not looking like the daddy at all. By the way, if you saw that one video where I curled my eyelid, not my eyelash, like, I know, it hurt really bad. So the baby comes out, not looking too much like the daddy. And so the kid's like, DNA test time, hello. So the DNA test results come back. And guess who's the daddy? It's the best friend. That hooked up with the other girl. But I guess he also hooked up with this girl too. And keep in mind, they're married. They're married. So this boy, like, straight out of high school, signed up to raise this baby that turned out to not even be his. And the wife's not gonna let him get a divorce for whatever reason. So let this be a life lesson. Make sure the baby's yours. Okay, I love you, Pookie. Have an amazing night.
Story time about how my crazy celeb ex made me take a lie detector test. This is my own story time. Like I said in part 4, he thought that the only reason I was working at that hookah lounge was because I was trying to be a hoe. He thought that I was trying to get rich men, was completely paranoid about me stealing money from him. A few days before that, he had slapped me for the first time. You know why he slapped me? Because we were arguing and I put a plastic bottle down hard at the table. He thought that was unacceptable, so he decided to slap me. A few days after that, grabbed me by my neck and threw me on the bed. The reason he did that is because I asked him never to touch me like that again. At the time, I never realized that people that are on substances are unreasonable. You can't tell someone who's on substances not to do something. They will want to do it more. He was already aggressive because of it. Because he thought that I was lying, stealing, cheating, hoeing around, he asked me to take a lie detector test. And of course I said yes because I wanted to prove to him that he was wrong. Follow story time about how my abusive celebrity ex made me take a lie detector test. This is my own story. He asked me to do the lie detector test and I said yes. He makes the appointment and we show up. Let's call the lie detector man Tom. Tom looked me up and down and told my ex that I was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. This right away makes my ex crazy jealous. He just stares the guy down. Then he stares at me. I'm the one that did something wrong. The guy straps me up to the machine and I'm already nervous. My heart would not stop racing. He asked me if my name was really Esther. Very basic stuff. Then he asked me about all the things my ex has accused me of. You guys, my ex thought that I was lying about my name. He thought that I was sleeping around, was stealing his money, that I was stealing his substances. After the test, he tells my ex that I had failed every single question and that I was a liar and that he needed to be careful. My ex grabs me and tells me that he's gonna take me home. I was terrified. Part 6 is a story time about how my abusive celebrity ex made me take a lie detector test. This is my story time. Once the guy tells my ex that I failed the polygraph test, which there should have been no reason for me to fail. I was being completely honest. My ex's face just turns red. He tells me to get in his car and he's gonna take me home. It was complete verbal abuse. He was calling me a dump truck, slut, a whore. Every single bad word you can think of, he was calling me. Get to my apartment and I literally run out of his car. I lock myself in my apartment and 2 hours later I see him peeking through my window. And because I'm an idiot, I open the door. He starts to cry and tells me that he's willing to forgive me for all the things that I lied about. Obviously, I couldn't convince him otherwise because I failed the polygraph. Come to find out 2 weeks later, the polygraph guy was a complete fraud. The test wasn't even real. Somehow my ex managed to get scammed. And of course my ex didn't believe it though. He still thought that I was even lying about my name. 2 weeks later, he proposes to me in the bathroom while we're showering. I'm gonna have to do another part.
Get ready with me to snap boys like the whore I am. Honestly, I'm not even a whore, but I am trying to get back into like the snap game because I have no res. Like I actually have negative res with guys. I tried. Also, I don't know how to take thirst traps, like selfies. It took me fucking 5 or like, I don't know, 7 minutes to reply to this guy who was trying to get a good angle. I looked fucking ugly. I was freaking out. But, yeah. Anyway, so I broke up with my boyfriend because honestly, it just didn't feel right to me, and that's totally okay. We fought a lot over dumb shit, and I'm fine, like, without a boyfriend. Like, they don't need to fucking worry about, like, oh, I need to reply to their text every, like, 1 hour. No, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. That shit just, it pisses me off so much. And I feel free. I feel so free. I mean, maybe he was, like, too controlling for me, but in general, I feel like I can do whatever the fuck I want, you know? But anyways, yeah, as I was saying, I have been snapping this guy, and he's always been, like, a little crush for me. So, yeah, basically, I snapped him, and he was like, oh, like, why'd you snap me out of nowhere? I was sending him good pictures, too. I was like, oh, cause, I was like, you wanna know the real reason? He was like, yeah. I was like, cause you're cute and funny. Okay, I'm sorry, like, this is cringe, but this is my attempt at Riz. I don't know. And then he was like, oh, really? Don't you have a man's? I was like, nah, not anymore. And then he asked me to hang out. But this man has me on fucking dub for 10 hours, so I'm upset, but it's okay, because I have a feeling that he will hit me up. So I made this account because I love everything beauty and TikTok. Because I love these videos, and I watched this one girl's, and it was just so real. She was like getting ready for like her crush to come over. I was like, okay, like I need to do something like that, you know? Like I'm not gonna be like, I'm going to the club at Miami like Alex. I love Alex, but I'm just not going to the club at Miami. Like I need someone who I can relate to, you know? Now, if you need anyone to relate to, hello, me. By the way, also my name is Sabrina. No one calls me Brie. I don't know why I made it that name. No, actually I do know why, because I always wanted someone to call me Brie. And then when my ex-best friend, she was like, no one's gonna call you that. Fuck you. People are gonna call me that. But anyways, go to part 2, because I'm gonna be talking about more my ex-boyfriend, because I feel like I need to let some things out. Part 2 of broke up with my boyfriend, so snapping guys now, I guess. Oh, I'm gonna contour my nose. Okay, so basically, me and him dated freshman year. I'm a junior now, and it didn't work out. I broke up with him. Then we started dating again this summer, and like honestly, we did have fun. Like, I'm not gonna say that we didn't, but like I feel like that was the only thing. Like, we had fun together. Like, he was funny. Oh, I love that. I was funny. And yeah, but other than that, like, we had different wants and needs in the relationship. And I guess, like, I'm really independent. I feel like, where should I put it? Let's do there. Okay. It's so hard to multitask. I'm gonna need to get used to this, but yeah. Okay, so basically there were a lot of tears. There were a lot of fights. I feel like our wants and needs in the relationship just didn't, like, add up. Like, he had a huge problem with me taking too long to reply. I'm literally doing other stuff. Like, I am doing other things. Like, it's just too much to me. Too much for me. And also, like, I have a lot of, like, passions and stuff. And, like, my culture, I'm half Middle Eastern. And he, like, wouldn't let me talk about it. Like, he would not want me to talk about it at all. And it made me really uncomfortable because, like, those are big parts of my identity. Also, I'm not saying I'm not completely in the wrong. Like, I can see some things, like, I did do wrong. But also, I was the one who broke up with him, so I think that says enough. But he also was a good boyfriend. Like, he would buy me anything I wanted, but also, he would use it against me. Like, how are you gonna buy me shit and then, like, hold it against me? What the fuck? So, yeah, it's weird. And I also remember, we were at a party, and I dabbed him up, because, like, I felt like, we've been dating for 5 months, by the way. We were dating for, like, 5 or 6 months. And I remember I dabbed him up when I saw him at the party. because we're comfortable enough. I don't need to hug you in front of people, you know? And he got really mad at me. Like, he started a fight later in the night because I dabbed him up the party. Bitch, what the fuck? What? Weird. Sorry, but weird. And then also, I remember I came up to him at a party. I was like, oh, like, kind of had the apple juice, like, in the backpack. Like, obviously I'm gonna ask for a drink at a party, bro, because he had it in his backpack. And he got mad at me that I didn't say hi first. Okay, maybe I should have said hi first, but I've been texting him. Like, I don't need to say hi, right? Okay. Those are all just, like, little things. I'm telling you, this little shit adds up because I feel like he had such high expectations of me. And they weren't me. I couldn't fulfill them. Oh my god, and then his dad called me. I swear to God, bro, his dad called me. I'm not even done. I talk too much. His dad called me and blamed me.
How do I handle this as a mother? False accusations tore our family apart. I have been in a mother's worst nightmare for the last year. A year ago, almost exactly, my daughter accused my current partner of sexual assault. They incurred an investigation and charges laid. Court proceedings are happening, just very slowly. However, her father kept me completely in the dark as to what the situation was. My daughter doesn't live with me, she lives full-time with her father, and apparently this happened when she was visiting me for the summer. I have been pursuing court action to be able to talk to my daughter, but it's a slow process. My ex is fighting tooth and nail to keep me from contacting her, with his justification being that I'm still in a relationship with the person that allegedly assaulted her. But basically, through legal proceedings, we are finally able to get her side of the story, and it is absolutely untrue. I can't go into details, but the set of circumstances laid out in her statement absolutely never happened. My take on it is that she saw a video on TikTok or YouTube about someone else's experience, saw all the attention and support they were getting, and decided to make up a story. Direct quote. My friend and I saw how sympathetic people were being and said, hey, let's get in on this. Unfortunately, her father saw whatever it was she was doing and immediately cut contact with me and went to the police. My ex has hated my current partner since the beginning, but I'm at a complete loss for what to do now. I'm the one that is going to have to testify that there is no way that situation happened, while she is surrounded by people that believe her absolutely. Even though I know for a fact that it never happened how she said, the idea of having to get up there and call her a liar is heartbreaking. I feel like it is something that neither of us will recover from. I'm coming to the point where I am soon going to have to actually talk to my daughter about it and have no idea how I'm going to address the fact that she blatantly lied and that it has completely destroyed our lives. My partner lost access to his own daughter since his charges prevent him any contact with anyone under 16. I haven't been able to talk to my daughter in a year. We've lost friends and family and are going to be out tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees before it's over. I love my daughter, but I'm also intensely angry at her for the horror and trauma we have gone through. I recognize that she might not understand the consequences of her decision and that her father would have been inclined to pursue this even if she tried to tell him it wasn't true. But I just can't disregard all the damage she has caused. And for the record, no, I'm not trying to cover for my partner. If I had any doubt about it actually being true, I would be in a very different place. I wouldn't be willing to testify if I thought there was any possible way it could be true. Oh my god, baby dad.
I just found out my husband showed his coworkers and his friends naughty pictures of me. Should I leave him? Disclaimer, it's not my story time. Send me on Instagram. My husband and I have only been married a few months. Before that, we dated for 2 years. My husband works in a really remote area, so he's not with me most of the time. After we got married, we bought a house near my parents' house since he would be away for most of the time, and that way I could spend time with my family. There are a few things about my husband that really bother me, but for the most part, he is pretty good. He supports me financially while I'm in school to pursue my career. I just got an internship for a magazine, which has been my dream job. My husband and I started dating. Everything went really fast. He's really passionate. After a year of dating, he proposed, and of course I said yes. We have a great love life. I mean, great. We have a lot of chemistry together and we're super attracted to each other. And one thing about my husband is he loves to show me off. He's like the opposite of a jealous husband. He loves when I wear cute revealing clothes, which is not a bad thing by the way. And whenever somebody hits on me, he loves it. He's proud to be my husband and I'm proud to be his wife. But sometimes I feel like he's showing me off a little bit too much. Since he's away for work, he always asks me to send him, naughty pictures. Come to find out, he shows his coworkers. Part 2 is up. My husband showed his friends and coworkers my naughty pictures. Should I leave him? Disclaimer, is not my story time. Send me on Instagram. Here's how I found out he did it. Every single day, multiple times a day, he would ask me to send him naughty pictures. It actually became like a routine for me. I would even order cute lingerie on a weekly basis for this. One day, my husband sent me a message that was clearly for one of his friends. In the message, he said, check out this picture my wife just sent me. And then he proceeded to attach the picture I had just sent him. For the first 5 seconds, I thought he was joking. You see, I would never have expected him to do that. that. But after about 30 seconds, I came to. Realized he had sent it to me by mistake. I called him and he instantly turned off his phone. I called him about 10 more times, but it all went to voicemail. Finally, 3 hours later, he sends me a text message apologizing. He said that he had never showed his friends the pictures and that he promises to never do it again. And that this time the picture was too good to not share. And it gets worse. He told me his coworkers are always drooling over my Instagram pictures, so he just felt like sharing. He sent a whole other message talking about how sexy and beautiful I am. And guess what? He asked for another freaking picture. Part 3 is up. My husband showed his friends and coworkers naughty pictures of me. Should I leave him? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. After he apologized, he basically asked me for more pictures. So I decided to ghost him for a week. After a week, he shows up to our house. When I opened the door, he started begging for forgiveness. He told me that he couldn't live without me, that he thought I was so beautiful, he just wanted to share my pictures. I explained to him that what he did was a total violation of my trust and of my body. Thought of his coworkers and friends being able to see those pictures literally nauseated me. And of course, I was totally ashamed that my family and friends would find out. I mean, what if one of his friends told his wife and then she told me something? He told me he'd never do it again and I accepted his apology. After that, we did the dirty and it was amazing. He had to go to work the very next day. And a few days later, he started asking me for more pictures. I have to trust the fact that he said he would never show those pictures to anybody again. So I started sending him pictures again. Only now it just doesn't feel the same. Before it was fun and I wanted to send him the pictures. Now I do it praying that he won't show it to anybody else. I've also come to realize that my husband knows how to manipulate me really well. Our sexy times are so good that he just gets me to do whatever he wants. Like taking those pictures. I really don't know if I should trust him, but at the same time, he's my husband. I feel like you guys will have good advice. What should I do?
Am I the asshole for expecting my pregnant girlfriend to apologize to my mom after rejecting her food? My girlfriend's 39 weeks pregnant and my mom's come to town to stay with us. Mostly to care for our 3-year-old and Cass when we go to the hospital. They usually get along, so it was a good idea, but my girlfriend's been causing some issues this week. My mom's an amazing cook, but admittedly she doesn't always cook the healthiest because growing up, me and my brother hated veggies. My mom's cooked dinner for us every night since she got here, and tonight my girlfriend said she would cook. My mom told her not to worry because she'd already planned it, and my girlfriend said maybe she could cook something for herself. Am I the asshole for expecting my pregnant girlfriend to apologize to my mom after rejecting her food? My girlfriend told her she needed something specific for tonight. They went back and forth until my girlfriend rather rudely said she just wanted to cook for herself tonight. My mom is extremely offended and hurt, and my girlfriend's pissed off because she says she needs certain nutrients and foods right now. And she can't let being polite get in the way of maintaining a healthy diet. I took my mom's side because she offered to cook my girlfriend what she really wanted. My girlfriend ended up eating boiled green beans and broccoli, which my mom could have done. Plus the baby's already grown and she takes prenatals.
My boyfriend, 27, and I, 26, have been together for 2 years. He has a good heart and is normally rational, but his one issue is that he expects to accompany me in every occasion no matter how big or small. He even went with me to my ex-boyfriend's funeral after days of begging. Now, my best friend got married a few days ago. It was very small and only close family and friends were invited. My boyfriend couldn't come because of the +1 rule. He pitched a hissy fit saying that my best friend had no respect for my relationship and was shocked when he learned that I was still going to attend. He told me that if he can't go, then I'm expected to not go as well. But that's my best friend and I had to respect her rules. He gave me an ultimatum, either we go together or I stay home with him. I ended up going because again, I respected my friend's rules. He was angry with me and kept calling me the entire 2-hour drive, then stopped. Later I got a text from his friend telling me that he, my boyfriend, got into an accident and was taken to the hospital. I freaked out and he gave me the address and I had to leave the wedding and told my friends why. I was crying the entire drive home and kept calling his friend but got no response. I arrived at the hospital and asked for my boyfriend and they checked and told me that he wasn't there. My anxiety reached 160% as I kept calling his friends one by one. I just went home and there he was, along with his friend. He saw me and said that he was sorry, but this was the only way he could get me to come home after I left him alone. After the initial shock, I just blew up yelling at him about lying and making me leave my friend's wedding and having me literally go to the hospital and freaking out because of him. I kicked his friend out and we got into an argument. He kept talking about how much I love him, thus I left, which is my own doing and not his, and that he was just trying to see if I really chose my friend's wedding over him. He then argued that my friend caused this and I shouldn't agree with her to exclude him. I said what he did was horrible and I called him horrible and then went to my room. It was awful because my friends kept calling to check in on him because they thought that he was really in the hospital. He said I overreacted and then I yelled at the wrong person. Did I go too far? Am I the asshole for yelling at him for making me leave my best friend's wedding?
Am I the asshole for not getting my girlfriend a birthday gift? My girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years and gifts have always been sorta a sore spot, at least for me. So the first year we were together, she made me some cake things for my birthday, which was nice and everything, but then she took like half of them back to give her family. It just seemed kinda weird, like here's your present but I'm taking part of it back. Then her birthday came that year and I did a bunch of stuff for her, balloons, flowers, a card, and some gifts. Christmas came and I gave her a few gifts and didn't get anything. Following birthday of mine, nothing. For her birthday that year, I got her a gift but didn't go all out like the first year. Then last Christmas, am I the asshole for not getting my girlfriend a gift for her birthday? Last Christmas, she wanted seat covers and I bought them but wanted to see if she even gave me a card or anything, which she didn't. I still gave her the seat covers, but that was the last straw. My birthday came and same thing, nothing. I've tried to talk to her about it, but she claims she forgot or has so many other people to shop for. Her birthday came and I didn't get her anything. We went out to celebrate on Saturday and she kept saying she was excited for her gift.
Ignore my husband
I took
trying
her
to
to dinner
steal
and
cookies.
she wanted to come over and she came over to my house. She kept looking around then said, "Okay, I'm ready to open my gift." I said, "What gift?" Am I the asshole for not getting my girlfriend a gift for her birthday? She said, "Haha, seriously now, it's my birthday." I said, "I know," and she said, "Quit messing around." I said, "I'm not messing around. I really didn't get you anything." Then she said, "Why did I come over then?" I said, "I don't know, you wanted to." She then went on to ask, "You didn't even get me a card?" I said, "No, I just figured we're not doing gifts anymore. I mean, you don't give them, so." She gave her usual excuses of, "You're hard to shop for," and "Well, I forgot," and other things. Then she said it shouldn't be about receiving, it's about giving, but thanks for being a passive-aggressive asshole and ruining my birthday.
Am I wrong for calling my brother's girlfriend disgusting and refusing to meet her? I, 27 female, recently had a very unpleasant encounter with my brother's 32 male new girlfriend, 21 female, that has culminated in the family getting dragged into it. We'll call her Anne. He's been with Anne for about 5 months, but I've never met her for various reasons from both of our ends. He said he wanted to get to know her properly before introducing her to us all. And I made a crack along the lines of, yeah, well, 12-year-olds are known to be unpredictable, which made him sulk for a while too. I probably shouldn't have said that, but the age gap is weird to me. I met up with him a few weeks ago for coffee. The topic of Anne came up briefly, but he just said that they are still together and he liked her, so I was coming around to the idea that I maybe should stop being a judgmental asshole and just meet her. After, I went back to my car, grabbed my plastic bags, and went shopping in town. After about an hour, I came back to my car and it was messed up. It had been scratched, a drink thrown over it, but the worst thing was that someone had smeared blood on my driver door and literally shoved a used feminine hygiene product in the door handle. I had to go back to the store and buy rubber gloves and bleach just to get back into my car. I get home and I get a text from my brother. He said Anne had confronted him when he got home over his cheating and she thought I was the other woman and had vandalized my car. He said she was really upset and wanted to apologize to me in person and give me flowers. I said that even if I had been some other woman, that what she did was disgusting and she was nuts. I never wanted to meet her and I expected payment for cleaning and damages. For the last 2 weeks, it's been this revolting door of my family calling me and telling me to let her apologize. Me letting them know exactly what she did and them mostly agreeing with me in the end. Then I get messages from my brother telling me to stop telling people what happened because it was embarrassing Anne. I had some aunts who are mad at me for even telling them. Make it make sense. And her family are of course livid with me. Not to mention my brother. It's just so much noise in my head that I'm starting to think I should just drop it because I have repaired the damage and had it cleaned. I've sent my brother the bill but not had anything from him yet because he says I've done emotional damage to Anne. Bro, honest to God, I swear, I would have called the cops. I'm petty like that. I would have pressed charges and be like, yo, this person vandalized my car. And you have proof, like the text message proof that, or the call that she vandalized your car. You're too nice. I don't care if my brother or not. I would be like, this bitch is crazy. I think it was emotionally damaging to have to see what she did to my car. But in the off chance that I've gone mad and I am overreacting, please tell me. So, am I the asshole for calling my brother's girlfriend disgusting and never wanting to meet her because of what she did to my car?
Am I the asshole for saying my sister was being a terrible parent and feeding her daughter even though she told me not to? So recently my 22 male sister 27 female asked me to babysit her 5-year-old daughter. I said yes, however when I came to her house she told me that I wasn't allowed to give her lunch. I asked why and she told me it's setting habits for the future so her daughter can have a beautiful slender figure. She also said it's part of her own beauty program so she doesn't become overweight. I told her it was ridiculous to not allow a 5-year-old to have lunch and she said whatever and left. After 3 hours, her daughter said she was very hungry and there was 2 to 3 hours until my sister came back. So, I gave her lunch. Am I the asshole for saying my sister was being a terrible parent and feeding her daughter even though she told me not to? I gave Zoe an apple and made her a sandwich to keep her happy because it didn't feel right to leave her hungry like that. When my sister got back, I told her Zoe was hungry, so I gave her some food to eat and that I had only gave her an apple and a sandwich. She was irritated and said I knew what she requested, but purposely did this to wind her up. I told her she was being a terrible parent by refusing to give her daughter lunch. This made my sister even more angry, and she said it was her parenting style, and that she only wants what's best for her daughter and I have no say. Eventually, she started shouting and made me leave. Am I the asshole?
2 years ago, I, 27, got married in a courtroom just to get the immigration paperwork started for my abroad now husband, 29. He always promised to provide me with a real ceremony eventually. The ceremony I wanted was picked out and cost about $7,000 in a South American resort, includes ceremony, reception, and week-long honeymoon. I loved the idea since it was a country both our families could easily fly to. We could have had it in my country, USA, but not his, since members of my family legally aren't allowed to enter his family's country due to felonies. To be fair to his family, I suggested that we all travel instead of just his family traveling. These last 2 years, I've been planning and saving for our marriage. I have $6,000 set aside exclusively for it. Meanwhile, I've also spent thousands on his immigration fees to make it eventually legal for him to live and work here. He stayed in his own country in the meantime these last 2 years. Our immigration case is almost at the final part. All that's left is paying 2 last fees to the NVC from a USA bank account. Since I'm the only one with a USA bank account, it's up to me. I joked and said, alright, I'm about to spend this last 500-ish bucks, but I'm still waiting for that ceremony date. To which he replied, why bother since we're already married? He further explained he liked my self-made website and invitations I had ready to go for the wedding, and that he was proud of me for holding on to an idea for 2 years, but that it's a waste of money in his eyes. But he wouldn't be opposed to it if I just paid for it myself. Me and the wedding planner at the resort were completely blindsided since this came out of nowhere. He seemed happy with it, and I assumed that he would contribute to the price up until that point. I didn't put my bank details in, so the immigration case completely halted. He says I'm ruining his future, but why should I hold up my end when he didn't hold up his? His family and him both really think that I'm being an a-hole. Am I the asshole for canceling my husband's immigration case right at the end?
I totally forgot that I didn't have a post, so we're gonna do an AITA, but I'm gonna read it. These are so awkward, so just bear with me. Am I the asshole for canceling Mother's Day celebration that I arranged for my wife after hearing what she told my son? I, male 37, have a 13-year-old son, and I was a widower when I met my now wife. She has a 16-year-old daughter from another relationship, and the family is often on pretty good terms. My wife and stepdaughter are the complete opposite. They both encourage him to be outgoing and share activities and join gatherings with extended family. My son complained about having to be forced out of his comfort zone and having his need for space invalidated. I spoke to both my wife and stepdaughter and asked them to give him space and freedom to spend his time however he wanted. They apologized and promised to let him be. Am I the asshole for canceling the Mother's Day celebration I arranged for my wife after hearing what she told my son? I wanted to throw my wife a surprise Mother's Day celebration. It was no longer a surprise because my stepdaughter gave her the heads up so she could prepare. Yesterday, I got off work earlier than usual to get the final arrangements done. When I entered the house, I overheard my wife and stepdaughter talking to my son. My wife was asking my son if he would convince me to let him stay home and not go with them to the restaurant to celebrate. My son said why, and she told him that his introverted and socially inept attitude will make her family uncomfortable and ruin the mood. Am I the asshole for canceling Mother's Day celebration that I arranged for my wife after hearing what she told my son? He promised her that he'd be well behaved and would try to interact and social with everyone, but she said she wasn't buying it. He kept reassuring her, but she snapped and told him that technically she's not his mom, so she didn't get why he wanted to celebrate it. My stepdaughter threw some backhanded comment, and then both of them were shocked to see me standing there. I told my son and stepdaughter to go to their rooms and told my wife the celebration was off, canceled. She kept trying to argue why and saying that she didn't mean it and that I only heard part of the conversation but not all. She yelled asking what was she going to tell her family and said that I was making a tremendous mistake towards her. I ignored her and she kept throwing tantrums and went to stay with her folks.
My husband's in love with an online scammer who he believes is going to marry him. My husband and I are newlyweds, both 21. We're from Ukraine, where it's pretty common to marry at the ages between 18 and 21. We just got married in January. However, in March, my husband said that he wants to take a break from living together because he's depressed and wants some time alone. He said that we both wouldn't date other people and that it would be absolutely disrespectful and wrong if we see other people because he just needs time to feel better. I told him that I agree, and if anything changes and he decides to date others, immediately let me know so that we can divorce because I'm not okay with extramarital stuff. He said yes, he would let me know, but he's not interested. Well, I just found out that he started started the break on March 28th and then registered for a dating site on the same day. On April 1st, a girl had already messaged him and they've been talking every day and are in a relationship. I even asked him 2 weeks ago that if he had a girlfriend, I wouldn't be mad, but to tell me the truth so we can divorce. Because he stopped texting me or answering the phone, but he lied. I only found out yesterday because he said that we need to divorce immediately because he's marrying someone else. However, I don't think she is who she says she is. He says that she told him she's 18, working in Poland, but Ukrainian, and will come to Ukraine to be with him, and they'll marry and be together forever because she's perfect. He would never hurt her. Why would someone in Poland look for someone in Ukraine without even being here physically? Why would she go into a war zone? The biggest thing is that he's never heard her voice and she won't send a picture or talk on the video call with him. I'm pretty sure it's a 47-year-old Ukrainian man living in a basement. What hurts the most is that he asked for a break on March 28th and then replaced me immediately like it was nothing. He calls her the exact same nickname he called me and all the nicknames he could have chosen. He writes her the exact same words that he wrote me when I met him online and we were dating. He showed the messages he sent her. He lied since April and only now told me. It's like I'm completely replaceable. What should I do with my husband being in love with an online scammer that he believes is going to marry him?
Am I wrong for how I reacted to my wife's pregnancy announcement? My wife, female 26, and I, 30 male, decided to start having kids. We've been trying for over 9 months and nothing happened. We were told to be patient, but I couldn't help but stressing out about a problem that's preventing us from conceiving. The issue is that my wife kept joking about this matter and pricked me twice by lying to me saying she was pregnant. The first was when I was at work and she sent a text telling me she was pregnant. I was so happy I came home and brought stuff with me to celebrate, only to find her laughing in my face saying it was a prank. Second time she told me she was pregnant, she was recording my reaction during and after the prank. Again laughing, telling me it was a prank, but this time she shared the video with her family. I told her I didn't appreciate how she laughs about a serious matter, then having me believe it was true only to ruin my happiness. She stopped for 2 months. Last night we were at my parents' house sitting having dinner when she said she had a gift for me. She had my sister go bring a small teddy bear with a note on it and gave it to me. I was nervous and worried about her pulling some of her pranks on me in front of my family. I read the note that the teddy bear had on it and it said that I was going to be a dad. I looked at my wife and she smiled at me and congratulated me saying she was pregnant. I saw red completely. I got up from my seat and tossed a piece of paper on the table and just snapped, telling her to stop making fun of something so serious and sensitive. I told her I was done with her lack of respect and sympathy for the most important thing that I've been struggling with, and to include my parents in her prank was too low. My wife excused herself to the bathroom. My mom and dad were unaware of what was happening. They literally paused and asked what the hell is wrong with me. My sister said my wife was actually pregnant and just confirmed by tests that she's seen with her own eyes. I felt both happy and devastated because I thought she was pulling the same prank again and I got fed up with it. My wife got mad and argued with me in the car, saying I ruined her joy and made her look awful in front of my family, as well as lashing out on her as my reaction to the happy news. She said she told me in front of my parents to show me she was serious this time. She had her mom call to berate me and said her poor daughter will suffer with my boorish behavior and lack of respect for her. My wife has been giving me the cold shoulder ever since. So, am I the asshole here? This is like... What is that story called? That fairy tale? The dude with the... He kept saying something to the villagers and the villagers kept coming and they... The boy who cried wolf. This is literally the boy who cried wolf.
Welcome back to Reddit Stories. I've been happily married for 10 years, but my relationship with my in-laws is strained. Here's the thing, they're collectors. They don't just collect mouse figurines, they've given each mouse its own personality, backstory, name, etc. One of them's made of paper mache and they named it Timothy. Where it gets unsettling is that they talk to each other through the mice using mouse voices. This is almost exclusively how they communicate with each other and with me. As bizarre as I find this, I've never said anything about it. Whenever they wave a mouse in my face wanting me to talk to it, I just talk to them. And I've never used a mouse voice myself, even though it visibly annoys them when I don't. Things escalated when I announced that I was pregnant and my father-in-law replied that he was excited to have a second grandchild. I was confused for a second until I realized he was talking about Timothy. I snapped and told him that his papier-mâché mouse is not the same as my baby, and he snapped back that I was disrespecting Timothy. My husband was silent through the whole thing and later on told me he didn't understand why I wouldn't just play along.
I have a friend named Paul that has been my 26 roommate for a little over a year now. We've been good friends since college and we've also maintained our friend group from college as well. Recently, I started to notice something odd. My underwear has been frequently disappearing and reappearing in my drawer. At first, I didn't notice anything, but occasionally I would notice that some pairs that were supposed to be clean had a strange smell. I started to get really suspicious after a while, especially after I brought it up to Paul and he just shrugged me off at first, but I started getting really weird vibes after some arguing back and forth, and Paul finally admitted very reluctantly to the truth. Apparently, Paul has been stealing my underwear, wearing them, and putting them back in the drawer, with what I'm assuming is the hope that I end up wearing them too. too. When I found this out, my skin crawled. I'm honestly a very open-minded person, and I wouldn't have a problem with Paul wearing women's underwear if they weren't mine, and he also confessed that he had been doing it for months. I felt so violated by this, and I told him that he would have to leave immediately. Luckily, he agreed and left that night and has been crashing on a work friend's couch while he looks for a new place. He said that he was really embarrassed and understood why I was no longer comfortable being friends with him. The only thing that he requested was I not tell our mutual friends. But I couldn't not tell him, considering they were all wondering why Paul had to leave so suddenly and why we weren't friends anymore. They knew something had gone down, and when they asked, I just told them because I honestly needed support about the whole thing, and I also knew there was no way I would be able to keep hanging out in the group if Paul was going to be there. Everyone was really shocked and understood my decision. Paul confronted me over text about it, telling me that I was wrong to share his kink with the whole group and that it was his private information. But I told him that I was allowed to tell my friends about how his actions affected me, considering he went against my privacy and violated not only my trust but also my person. Am I the asshole for telling my friend group about another friend's kink so they would also stop being friends with him?
Story time about the girl who used me to get with my guy best friend. So a little background information, I was 15 and in 9th grade. Well, at the end of summer, right before school started, this girl named Liv added me on Snapchat. And I had seen her all around school. She was very popular and a little bit stuck up. But I added her back, and then I got a call on Snapchat from her. I answered very awkwardly, and I'm like, hi? And then she was like, oh, I've seen you in a lot of this guy's pictures. Are you guys like best friends? And I'm like, yeah, sort of. And she goes, have you ever thought about dating him? It was just an extremely weird, out of nowhere conversation. Anyway, so fast forward 2 weeks, I walk in the first day of school with my best friend Tommy, and Tommy and I have like every single class together. For some reason, Liv thought that we were friends, and she would come and go as she pleased. Like Tommy and I would be standing at my locker, she would come over. Anyways, fast forward to chemistry. She walks in the class, winks at Tommy, like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who used me to get with my guy best friend. So like I said, we were in chemistry, she walks in and she winks at Tommy. And I look over real quick and I realize that her nails were vermilion. That's Tommy's favorite color. And by the way, like I said before, I did not know this girl at all. We had never hung out. She never talked to me before this. Not to mention, anytime that her and I talked, she would only talk about Tommy. Fast forward a couple days, we're in chemistry, and somehow she got her assigned seat next to me. And she was like, hey, do you want to study for the chemistry test together? And I was kind of excited because I thought that I had a new best friend. So I said, yeah. Later on, she comes to my house. I never told her an address or anything like that, so I was very creeped out about how she knew my address. We studied for the test, and she goes, hey, do you want to hang out with Tommy and a few other guys tomorrow? Well, tomorrow was the day that I was going out of town. So she goes, okay, maybe next week. After being out of town, I came back on a Saturday, and the next day I get a text from Tommy, like for part 3. Part 3 about the girl who used me to get with my guy best friend. So like I said, she asked me if I wanted to hang out with Tommy and a few other guys. I told her that I was going out of town. When I got back from out of town, the next day, I get a text from Tommy. He was flipping out on me. He said that I was talking shit about him to Liv. And apparently I said that I was happy that his mother died. And a bunch of other bullshit. Well, after that, Tommy cut me off, so I was lonely, and I started hanging out with Liv more, even though she said that terrible stuff to Tommy and made him cut me off. So fast forward a year, he is a new best friend, right? I get a DM from her on Instagram saying like, hey, did Tommy used to be your best friend? Pretty much everybody knew what happened between me and Tommy, but she was like, that girl that you're best friends with is dating him now. And then he completely cut me off. So technically, she used both her and I to get with Tommy. But after dating for literally like 2 months, he cheated on her because she slept with 5 other guys. Am I the asshole for buying my girlfriend a blender instead of the necklace she wanted for our anniversary? We are both women, and this happened last month. We had our 1-year anniversary, and I asked what she wanted, and she said just something romantic. A little necklace or something cute. On Amazon, I found an emulsion blender, and it pinged in my head. My girlfriend loves cooking and always talks about gadgets she wants. Plus, I remember her complaining one time about not having one. I'm a practical gift giver, and I like to give things people will use, so I bought it. She gave me a bottle of whiskey I've had my eye on for ages. She opened hers and her face kind of falls, and she goes, oh, an emulsion blender. Am I the asshole for buying my girlfriend a blender instead of the necklace she wanted for her anniversary? She says, oh, an emulsion blender. I told her I remembered her talking about all the kitchen gadgets she wanted and was so excited to give it to her. She kept her cool but told me while she appreciated the thought, she was a little upset that it wasn't jewelry. I was confused, so she explained that she felt anniversaries should be more romantic and sentimental gifts versus practical. She said she appreciated it greatly but wouldn't lie to me that she wished it would have been a necklace. Specifically, this one she pointed out to me that was $30. My best friend and my girlfriend's best friend both agree with my girlfriend.
Me, 34, and my husband Hunter, 37, suffered from fertility problems. We recently decided to get a surrogate who's a friend of a friend. We were busy getting everything done legally. We already had a contract in place. My egg was used, so no worries in this regard. Plus, our surrogate is a respectful, kind woman who's been keeping her part of the contract intact. But it's Hunter who started acting strange. I've noticed that he's been focusing all his attention on our surrogate, like skipping work to visit her or get her things that she didn't ask for, chat with her all the time on social media, and also constantly offering to do things for her, like drive her to places and sometimes even invite her out or offer to prepare stuff for her. She complained to me about this and even told me about things that he's been doing that I didn't even know about, like bringing her gifts. I tried speaking to him about what this looks like, but he said that he's doing what he's doing for his son and not her. Still, I asked that he tone it down and respect the woman's space. He got mad at me and accused me of being jealous of the woman who's carrying my own child and said that this makes me look bad. I said our surrogate was the one who complained about his behavior and he said that this wasn't true. Apparently this made him somewhat angry, so I gave him time to cool down a bit. Yesterday, our surrogate called me saying that Hunter came over and told her guests to leave. I asked why and she said he wanted to show her the $9K car that he bought for her. I was shocked. She said that she declined the car and asked him to leave, but he started arguing with her about using public transportation and risking our baby's well-being. I was fuming and I called him demanding that he get home and he eventually did. Once he got back, I picked up a fight with him and yelled at him saying that he's been nothing but overstepping, disrespectful, and inappropriate towards the surrogate. Again, he explained that the car wasn't for her but to ensure the baby is safe. I told him to stop disrespecting the woman and stop using the baby as an excuse to stomp all over her boundaries. He ranted about how he was just trying to make this work and I should do the same if not more. He even accused me of not loving our son as much as he does, but this is in the way and putting $9,000 on a car without telling me. He left the house for a while and then he came back and refused to speak to me. I might have been hard on him. He might have just been oblivious, so I'm less sure seeing his reaction now. Am I the asshole for telling?
I think my husband only wants to have another kid because he thinks our son is gay. Our son, 7 male, has always been very feminine. Most of his friends are girls, his favorite toys are Barbies, and he had an awkward situation in school where he kept drawing himself as a female singer for the When I Grow Up part of his graduation. He would dress up in girls' clothes if he could, and I'm not judgmental, but that wouldn't be the best for him where we live, so he's not allowed. I'm not sure why he's like this, but I was such a tomboy when I was younger that it's not really a surprise. One of his friends, a boy, came over a little while ago, and my son told me that he kissed him. It was on the forehead apparently, but he didn't describe it in a romantic way, obviously. He just wanted to show that he loved him because you kiss people when you love them a lot. My husband is convinced that our son is gay. He's not upset about it, more neutral, but I think it's harmful to assume a 7-year-old's sexuality because he does things that we've arbitrarily decided are for girls. When he heard about the forehead kiss, he said, "Are you still saying he's not gay?" And I asked why it would be a big deal to begin with, and he said it's not, but he won't give up hopes for grandkids. Recently, my husband has been suggesting we should have another kid. I asked him why the sudden change, and he said he loves being a dad more than he ever thought he would. I believe him about that, but the timing in his comment about grandkids won't leave my mind. I originally wanted to adopt, and he said even if it's selfish, he wanted his only child to be biologically his. I'm putting all of this together, and to me, I'm worried he only wants another child to have biological grandkids. I feel like that is showing that he's going to love our son less than this hypothetical next child. Does it sound like that to you too, or am I reading too much into it?
Story time about how my best friend kissed the guy that I liked right in front of me. So a little background information, I was 14 and in 8th grade. And we're gonna call my best friend Sophia. We were in a friend group of 3, and the other person in our friend group, his name was Josh, and that just happened to be the boy that I really liked. And Sophia knew how much I liked him. Like, I would tell her all the time how excited I was, you know, that we were hanging out. And she would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy for you. Like, you guys would be so cute." Just a bunch of fake shit. So the one day we're all sitting in our free period, super bored, and our friend Dylan says, "Hey, why don't we play spin the bottle?" With a water bottle, of course. So it was us 4 and a few other kids from our class. Well, Sophia decided to spin the bottle first. And of course, who does it land on? Josh. And I'm sitting back like I have nothing to worry about. My best friend wouldn't do that to me. Well, of course I was wrong. I thought she was going to apologize, but after she gave me a very smirky smile, well, they started hanging out more and I felt extremely left out, so I just decided to forgive her.
This is the Reddit mess. Let's go ahead and get into it. The subreddit is True and Off My Chest, and the title is "My Husband's Cross-Dressing is the Bane of My Existence." And the title alone took me off guard, okay? It makes me sick. All of this started right after we got married, and I do mean right after. They put that in all caps. On our honeymoon, he wanted to wear the lingerie I had brought for myself. Then he shaved his beard to his entire body. He started wearing my slutty clothes. He would only use razors, shaving cream, body lotion, etc. that smelled super girly. I was not into this at all, but I wanted to be a good wife, so I tried to indulge him. I bought him lots of lingerie and pretended I thought it was sexy. I did this to avoid a fight. He was not into adult, videos, okay. Now he started watching sissy adult videos, especially sissy hypno videos. I have no idea what that is, okay? But I will be Googling after I finish this. So pretty soon, he no longer wanted to have regular schmegler intimacy. It was always the strap or some other weird kinky stuff. We were always kinky before, but it never involved sissification, cross-dressing. He started tucking, wearing breast forms, and even got out into public in bimbo mode. Doing the deed was extremely emotionally exhausting for me, but I did it anyways because I didn't want to fight. I even brought in an old fling of mine who was bi to spend a weekend with us. My husband was dressed up the whole time and we sort of had a threesome, but the other guy only lets dudes do the deed. I feel sick even remembering this experience, but at the time I just did it on autopilot so my husband would be satisfied. Soon after this, he convinced me to buy him a 600 chastity device. What's that? This was sort of fun for me at first, but then he decided he wanted to get resized. He got one that was about 3 sizes too small. It would take him 40 minutes to get it on because he really had to jam him in. I really need to Google some of this stuff. But he had to jam himself in there. It was painful to look at it. I was afraid this would cause permanent damage and I begged him to stop. He wouldn't listen. He wanted to shrink himself. This made me incredibly angry, but I bottled it up.
Wait. Yo.
I just Googled it. I'm sorry. I had to visualize what it is that this woman is talking about. Stop the video. Go Google a chastity device. Baby. That's very interesting. So it just kept escalating from there. We had an agreement that we would not do anything permanent to our bodies and that he only had 1 hall pass per year. The hall pass thing, I had agreed to it before we got married because I already knew that he was bi and I accepted it. There is one thing a man has that I don't. So I agreed to let him get that elsewhere once per year. For almost the whole first year of our marriage, he was a walking kink. He had bought this stupid breast pump thing that's supposed to make him grow little boobs over time, but the cups were too big, so it didn't work. I then found emails between him and a hormone replacement clinic. He was asking them about doing a consultation to go on estrogen. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. We had a really long discussion about it, and I told him that if he does this, I'm gone. The next day, he went backpacking to find himself. I was creating an exit plan while he was gone, fully expecting him to come home and tell me that his fetish is more important to him than I am. But actually, he came back a changed man. He wanted to be normal again. He put all the stuff away and stopped acting feminine. That was almost a year ago, and things have been amazing since then. We've even adopted the traditional lifestyle. He works and I stay home. I take care of all the cooking and cleaning. We even do a domestic discipline. Things have been so wonderful. It's been a year. He stopped all of that. I've never been so happy. I found out we're having a baby. We were over the moon. And then he tells me he wants to start cross-dressing again. He said he'll only do it for Locktober. Literally, it's Locktober. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. So I told him not this year because I will be newly postpartum and then I can't deal with that in such a vulnerable state. Never mind that. I also won't be feeling up for, doing the deed either. He considers this, then says he'll do it in June this year. I'll be 6 months then. I try to put it out of my mind since at this time it was only February, but I'm already thinking of places I can go for that whole month of June so that I don't have to participate in this shit again. This fetish is absolutely repulsive to me and I don't think I can slap on a brave face and suffer through it. Maybe I can for a month. I did it for a year. But I'm thinking it would probably just be easier if I'm somewhere away while he's at home doing that. Then he bought new cups for the breast pump that actually fit his chest and has been using them for a few days. I objected because he said he was only going to do this in June. He said it's so he can be ready for June and have little breastises. Puts the pump on as soon as he gets home before he even touches me, and it stays on for an hour. Then yesterday after pumping, he goes and puts on bra and panties. I was napping when he did that, and I didn't notice until he grabbed my hand and started to try to make me, said, yes, this is too much. This is too much. And he kept asking until I reluctantly lied and said yes, because I don't want to hurt his feelings, even though I want to yell at him, no, you look effing ridiculous. He went and changed after that and wouldn't touch me the rest of the night. Before bed, we had a small argument about it, but he just shut down and went to bed without saying another word. We've been here before. Either I put on an Oscar-worthy performance and enthusiastically participate in whatever depraved kinky shit he wants to do, or he withholds all love and affection from me until I do. I do feel like he's slipping away and I'm losing him again to this fetish when he stopped cross-dressing last year. I told him that I would not go back home doing this full time. I can't. His entire life revolved around this kink. He assured me that it was over and no longer found it appealing, that it was a phase. I believed him and now we're here. What can I do? Grin and bear it? I guess. I feel trapped. I felt trapped before, but now I'm pregnant, so I'm really trapped. That's a lot. That's a lot to take in, baby. I'm not going to sit up here and kink shame anyone because at the end of the day, like, you have to do whatever you want to do. It's your body. You do whatever you need to do. However, reading this, I feel like he did trap her. Like, he trapped her because I feel like stuff like this, these type of kinks, they don't just pop up out of nowhere. So I feel like he has had this in his mind for a while. He waited to share this with her until after they said, I do. And for most people want to honor those values. So for better and for worse, you know, I'm going to stick it out with you. I'm going to try, which she did. Reading this, she has definitely tried. She has definitely put her best foot forward. She's given him hall passes, you know, tried to get into what he's into. So I feel as though he cannot sit up there and say, oh, you didn't try, because she really did. But I truly feel like he planned all that out knowing that she wouldn't leave. And then miraculously, he goes out camping to find himself, comes back home, and baby, it's gone. I'm a changed man. To me, that was suspicious. But hey, it worked out for a year. He was able to keep it dormant for a year. And then he gets her pregnant, and bam! Now all of this is coming back up again. So basically, he is trapping her into doing something that she's not okay with. And to me, kink or no kink, that's where I would have to draw the line. Like, to me, that's not fair. Like, you're not allowing your partner to be able to make a choice that is best for them. You're doing what's best for you, but you're forcing your partner that wants no parts of it to be attached to that. And that's, to me, that's not okay. That's not okay. And then you get mad at your partner for not wanting to be involved. Show enthusiasm to your interests. Like, that, to me, that's not okay. That's not okay. And the fact that she feels like she's trapped is a strong word, especially in a marriage. That's a strong word. And then talking about she has to put on an Oscar-worthy performance. That's not okay.
Am I the asshole for embarrassing my friend over her baby name Chlamydia? You heard that right, Chlamydia. My friend is 5 months pregnant and has been talking about baby names with her partner lately. She's having a girl and likes to run some of her ideas by our friend group to see what we think. Yesterday, she told us her latest favorite, Chlamydia. Before I had time to get over my shock, she starts going on about how ever since we read the Odyssey in high school, she's always liked her Greek mythology. It takes a minute, but I find out she's talking about Clytemnestra, sister of Helen of Troy. So I interrupt her. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my friend over her baby name Chlamydia? Yeah, Chlamydia. I say, wait, you mean Clytemnestra, not chlamydia, right? And she's all, no, I mean chlamydia. I have to explain to her that she's got the name mixed up and that chlamydia is an STD, not a figure from Greek mythology. After I show her on Google, she gets all awkward and quiet. When I got home, she sent me a text saying I was a bad friend for embarrassing her, and that I could have brought it up in private. She said I made her feel like an idiot, and I ignored it because she was kind of being an idiot. My opinions on am I the asshole for embarrassing my friend over her baby name. Honestly, I'm having a really hard time believing this story on Reddit is real. First of all, even if a Greek mythology name was chlamydia, I still wouldn't name my baby chlamydia because, you know, it's chlamydia. I just feel like there'd be so much unnecessary bullying on the playground for that. And honestly, I don't know how this woman is pregnant and doesn't know what chlamydia is.
Am I wrong for walking out of the baby shower my in-laws threw for me? The situation is kind of a mess. I, 27 female, and expecting my first baby with my husband. This is the first grandchild in the family, and they said that if the baby is a boy, then we'll give him my father-in-law's name. He's dead due to cancer, and I had no problem with that. This happened before we found out the gender of the baby. My husband and his family had me do things like attend prayers and do other rituals before the reveal at the doctor's. I didn't like that, but went with it to keep the peace. They thought if they do some hubba-lubba, they can decide the baby's gender. Doctor appointment came and it turned out to be a girl. My husband cried in the car, then turned his phone off to hide from his family, then finally told them. If my husband cried tears of sadness that we were having a girl, not a boy, I would be livid. Continue. His mom and the others made their frustration and disappointment clear, which bothered me because my daughter deserved to be celebrated. They ghosted me for days, then started coming over and visiting constantly, referring to my daughter as my son, claiming the results were false and basically pretending it's a boy. I had several fights with them, and after they refused to stop, my husband sided with them despite seeing how wrong and unreasonable what they were doing was. We didn't speak for a while. Sister-in-law called to apologize, then informed me she arranged for a baby shower for me. I was so excited and happy, but when I arrived, I saw blue balloons, blue cake, and father-in-law's name/decorations around. I was so confused I had to sit down. My sister-in-law explained that they were still hoping that my gender results are false and it's a boy. I looked at my husband and he agreed with her. I lost my temper and yelled at them all, calling them delusional and telling them to stop treating my daughter like she's unwanted and act like she doesn't exist by throwing a party for their imaginary grandson. Mother-in-law broke down crying. I took my bag and walked out immediately. They started yelling and my husband followed me outside and started arguing about how I insulted his family and his dad's memory by acting like that. He said they needed time to process the fact that it's a girl, not a boy, as they expected and insisted I play along and they'll soon get over it. I told him to wake up and see the insanity to his family's behavior. I said absolutely not and demanded he take me home. He said no, so I called an Uber and left. He was fuming. He called 15 times, then texted that he won't be coming home until I get my ass over and apologize for ruining everything they've done for me and accusing them of being mentally unstable. I haven't responded yet, but he's constantly pressuring me to get right with his family before we even talk about anything else. Oh my god! How many red flags do you need to see before you can run away? Oh my god, he's crazy. And another thing, the woman doesn't determine the gender of the baby, it's the man. Like, and as a pregnant woman, I would be pissed. My fist would be moving. Oh my god, that would just make me cry.
My boyfriend, 27, and I, 26, have been together for 2 years. He has a good heart and is normally rational, but his one issue is that he expects to accompany me in every occasion, no matter how big or small. He even went with me to my ex-boyfriend's funeral after days of begging. Now, my best friend got married a few days ago. It was very small and only close family and friends were invited. My boyfriend couldn't come because of the +1 rule. He pitched a hissy fit saying that my best friend had no respect for my relationship and was shocked when he learned that I was still going to attend. He told me that if he can't go, then I'm expected to not go as well. But that's my best friend and I had to respect her rules. He gave me an ultimatum, either we go together or I stay home with him. I ended up going because again, I respected my friend's rules. He was angry with me and kept calling me the entire 2-hour drive, then stopped. Later, I got a text from his friend telling me that he, my boyfriend, got into an accident and was taken to the hospital. I freaked out and he gave me the address and I had to leave the wedding and told my friends why. I was crying the entire drive home and kept calling his friend but got no response. I arrived at the hospital and asked for my boyfriend and they checked and told me that he wasn't there. My anxiety reached 160% as I kept calling his friends one by one. I just went home and there he was, along with his friend. He saw me and said that he was sorry, but this was the only way he could get me to come home after I left him alone. After the initial shock, I just blew up yelling at him about lying and making me leave my friend's wedding and having me literally go to the hospital and freaking out because of him. I kicked his friend out and we got into an argument. He kept talking about how much I love him, thus I left, which is my own doing and not his, and that he was just trying to see if I really chose my friend's wedding over him. He then argued that my friend caused this and I shouldn't agree with her to exclude him. I said what he did was horrible and I called him horrible and then went to my room. It was awful because my friends kept calling to check in on him because they thought that he was really in the hospital. He said Am
I the asshole for skipping my best friend's wedding just because? I'm a hermit and I have exactly 2 friends. I talk to them and to my family mostly online, meeting them only once in a while. I don't have social anxiety, but people drain me so much I can barely function by the end of a work day. Just extremely introverted, I guess. I don't do social gatherings and people who know me know this. Friend number 1 got married last year and I showed up for the ceremony, dropped off my gift, and left before the reception. She thanked me for showing up at all. An hour into the reception of my own brother's wedding, he told me that I'm free to go home now and he's surprised I lasted this long. The issue is friend number 2 is getting married. Am I the asshole for skipping my best friend's wedding just because? She's planning a destination wedding and I'd like to make this clear. There's no universe in which I'm flying 6 hours only to spend a full weekend socializing with people I don't even know. I told her I'll follow the ceremony online and give them the present after they return. She's giving me the I'm not mad and disappointed routine. She said she's upset because I'm prioritizing my own comfort over her feelings. I told her she's right and that I will always put my comfort over other people's feelings. Hence the number of friends I have, and she knew this from the start. Does that make me a shitty friend? Probably yes. Did she know what she was getting into? Yes.
Am I wrong for not telling my husband I went into labor? I, 32 female, have 3 kids. K, 12 female, L, 4 female, and I just gave birth to my beautiful baby girl, Valerie. My husband and I have been married for 5 years and I love him, but he's a little bit of a mama's boy. My mother-in-law hates me. I grew up in a richer neighborhood and my parents left me with quite a lot of inheritance when they passed, about 13 million in assets. Mother-in-law, however, was a single mother with 2 sons and had a lot of trouble just paying for basic needs. She worked her way up and I think she's very strong. She doesn't like me and thinks I'm pretentious because apparently I had everything handed to me. Well, when I got pregnant with Elle, we decided to name him Luke, after my husband's father who died when my husband was only 3. Mother-in-law was through the roof when we told her, but ever since I fell pregnant again with Valerie, she has been adamant that we would name her Francine after her late grandmother. My husband wants to as well, but I don't. Instead, I wanted to name her Valerie, and not just because I like the name, but also because when I was 17, the song Valerie by Amy Winehouse came out, and me and my family would sing it all the time. At family gatherings, it was always first on the speaker, car rides, and just in general. It was basically our song. Well, my older sister and my parents passed away in a house fire 3 years ago, and I miss them terribly. We were all a very close family, so it hit me and my younger sister very hard. When I suggested this to my husband and mother-in-law, they actually got mad at me because they wanted it to be Francine. I suggested we name her Valerie with the middle name Francine, or Francine with the middle name Valerie, but they weren't happy with either. During my last month of pregnancy, my husband has become more angry with me. I finally snapped and said that I wasn't going to name my child an ugly name that I don't like for the sake of a woman that doesn't even like me. He said that I was being unbelievable and that I had insulted a strong, independent mother. I immediately apologized, but he left to his mother's house. 2 days later, I couldn't